The Zoom window up. Okay, good morning, everyone. I see people are joining us. We had over 100 people registered today. So excited to see the interest in AI. I'm going to wait just a moment for most of the folks to come in. Hope everyone's having a great start to their Q2. Hard to believe April is almost over. In case you're curious, today is my wife's birthday. So I was told her I would make her famous one day, and so now I get to deliver on that. So famous she is. Fantastic. Welcome, everyone. So today we're going to talk about really a different way to look at AI, and um, it's kind of an extended version of a talk that I gave at EMC recently in Houston. And I had several people come up to me after that conference and say, your talk made this entire conference worth it for me. And I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. And I don't mean that in any kind of self-aggrandizing way, but it really kind of opened some people's eyes as to what this thing is that we have in our hands today, and how we can better use this tool to get more value um, in more practical business kind of ways. So with that, we're going to use the muse of, oh, wow, my Teams notifications are on. Let me see if I can figure out how to turn those off real quick. Put myself in do not disturb mode. Boom. Okay. Awesome. So AI agents can do the manual work. And so real quick, most of you probably know who NRX is, but at NRX, our purpose is to make it easy to buy and sell energy in competitive markets. I think we all know, those of us who are participating in this industry, it remains to be an elusive goal. It is still not easy to buy and sell energy in competitive markets. It involves emails and spreadsheets and copying and pasting and forwarding and this and that. Non-productive, non-value add work doesn't create value for our customers or ourselves. Yet this is what we spend the bulk of our time doing, or have people that work for us to do. As far as what we do, we have some solutions for brokers, some solutions for suppliers, and then we have this marketplace piece in the middle that links the broker and the supplier world together so that they can interact with data without having to forward emails and copy and paste all day long. And that's called exchange. And really where our focus is in the selling side. We are the sales opportunity management workflow, contracting workflow for brokers and suppliers. And then after you make a sale, you get a commission. And so we're the commissions processing part also for brokers and suppliers. Real quick on the webinar housekeeping today. Thanks to Elizabeth for setting all this up, our amazing marketing leader. We will have Q&A functionality. If you've got questions, I think that's turned on. If you want to chime in on others' questions, please feel free to do that. I don't know if we have chat enabled to do, but if we do, feel free to message us if you want to message privately. And then we'll probably have a survey after the call. Always welcome feedback. If you have any challenges, audio's not working, whatever, you want to forward it to a colleague, coworker, feel free to send us an email to webinars@nrx.com. We'll try to get you fixed up. Upcoming events that we've got: PIPA meetings, EMC. You guys all know this is where we are. You can find an NRXer at one or more of these events, and we look forward to seeing you guys coming up. So today, what we're going to talk about. First of all, we're going to talk about AI. Just going to set some definitions, what AI is and isn't. I think we're going to spend a little bit more time. I'm going to try and convince you what it isn't. And then how can we use it more effectively? Where is it going? That's high-level stuff. And then we're going to really camp out on use cases in retail energy for broker, for supplier. And then if we've got a little extra time, we'll see how our time is going. I'm going to show you guys an example of kind of regulatory that is both for broker and supplier, but how we're using AI to kind of solve a particularly difficult problem in the regulatory space. And then kind of wrap up with what does this mean for us? Are there fewer jobs available? Like, is AI gonna take over the world? And then if we have time at the end, if anybody wants to send me some data and see me do it live, I'm happy to do that. I think that would be cool, just so you know this is not sort of scripted, canned everything. Obviously, we had to kind of scrub a certain amount of data out of this stuff to put it in webinars. But you know, I'm happy to demonstrate on your information if you'd like to see the power of what we've built. So, okay, first of all, I was talking to my dad. He's visiting for Easter, and he is just all the time asking ChatGPT questions. He's just fascinating. He's 74. And for him, it's really kind of replaced Google. Like ChatGPT is now a better Google for him. And probably it is for a lot of people. You know, a lot of you um, probably are starting to use AI, one form or another, ChatGPT or pick your flavor, as kind of a way to ask questions and get precise answers. And I want to convince you today that it really is more than that. That is just barely scratching the surface of what this technology is capable of. And I'm going to show you some examples that I think are pretty mind-blowing, pretty impressive. And again, I think we're still in early days to see what this is what is possible using this type of technology. Okay, so Elizabeth's got a poll for us. I just want to start just to kind of level set and see who all is using AI, not using it. But we got this survey about your AI experience. So how familiar are you with AI in your current role? You're like, I am the AI master at my company, or I'm curious, haven't really used it so much. Number two, are you currently using an AI tool in your work? You know, and then kind of which use cases are you finding it most helpful in? And then what concerns do you have? You know, some people are nervous about different types of things using AI, job security, data privacy, accuracy, hallucinations, that it's hard to learn. I kind of have what I need. I don't need to learn any new tools. And so if you don't mind, weigh in on these questions, and we'll try to use the answers here in just a few moments. I don't know how long. Do I need to wait, Elizabeth, until this goes away on my screen? I see the questions, but I don't see the data yet. They will wait
Yeah.
for some answers to come in.
Yeah, we're at about 65% participation, so we'll give it
Okay,
just
cool.
a second.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so please, if you're just joining us, we've got a poll up. If you don't mind, just give us an example. There's nothing proprietary here in this poll. Just trying to get a sense of where people are at in the audience. And I'll try to dial in my description accordingly. Some of you may or may not know, I have a computer science degree from Rice. I also have an economics degree. So this is a really interesting kind of connection of the things that I've been passionate about my whole life, which is using technology and then using it to improve markets. So if you ever want to talk about either of those two, just hit me up. Okay, we've also got some Q&A. Oh, send the poll again, please. I don't know if you can send it out again. But I'll keep the Q&A up now that I know that it's there. Putting it on my other screen over here. Okay, I'm gonna move along and keep this going. So some of you again might think of ChatGPT as a better Google, and you know, it is better than Google at a lot of things. And I think that you're probably missing the point, and also maybe missing some of the value that you could be getting from AI. And so I'm going to show you actually by using this presentation as an example of how AI can be used as more than just a better Google. And so I'm going to use this method called context role interview task as a framework to kind of teach you guys something that you may be able to take home with you and use in your workplace, use in your life to get more value out of AI. I'm going to show you how I created this presentation using AI. And so, okay. First of all, instead of prompting like, hey, ChatGPT, create a presentation for me about AI and energy, you can do that, but you're not going to get a very precise and probably not even a human grade answer. The words will be human-like, but the ideas will not be maybe what you're looking for, and you might not find it very useful. But I think if you take this approach, what you really have to do is give AI the right ideas to filter um, and only give you the things that you're really looking for. And so I said, hey, I'm going to speak for 15 minutes. This is what I use for EMC. I just had a 15-minute talk about AI. So I told it, hey, I'm going to do this. Here's what I'm looking to accomplish. Here's the role I want you to take. You're a highly competent marketing consultant that specializes in crafting speeches. Okay, interview. And this is a key thing. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to ask me questions, not ask me asking ChatGPT questions. So you're going to interview me, asking me one question at a time, up to 3 questions. And then what do I want it to do at the end? The task. Your goal is to generate 5 clever titles for my presentation, ... Okay, so let's see what happened. So, okay, so certainly here's my first question. And so it asked me this question, and then it asked me, another one, and then it gets to ask a third question. And so I kind of responded as if I was being interviewed by a marketing consultant, like really put my thoughts into what I want to accomplish, what do I see as the greatest barriers, key messages that I want to get across. And then it said, okay, here's a draft of 5 clever titles. And I kind of looked at these titles, and although I didn't end up using any of them verbatim, think of this as the first draft. And so what I'm looking for is like, what are the common themes that emerge in the way that AI is thinking about the task that I gave it? And so number one is it's focused around these manual tasks. These are the things that we can really use AI as a leap forward, not just an incremental improvement. Number 2, things that are available now. So I wanted to focus on things you can do this afternoon with AI right now. Not like, hey, one day we're going to be able to ride in flying cars. All right. And then support versus replace. And so focusing around how AI can support our existing workflow versus replace, like transformational replacement, flying cars replacing driving cars, right? I'm not looking for that type of transformation. And so, but then, I wanted to use a movie theme. And so I said, hey, give me the same ideas, but this time I want you to use 2001: A Space Odyssey as um, a movie title and a play on words. And you can see almost verbatim the first idea that it came up with is what I ended up using. And so, and it even explains to me why it thinks these are good ideas here, that it updates the year and emphasizes the forward-looking nature of AI adoption. So, okay, great. So, the takeaways here are that I want you guys to leave with is one, that you have a new way to interact with a chat GPT-like technology, meaning instead of you asking it questions, you can have it interview you and then use it as an ideation partner. So that's really the step change that I want you guys to take home with you today is instead of thinking of AI as a better Google, think of it as an ideation partner, something that really has all knowledge and has every idea. You just have to learn how to extract it or prompt it to give you the idea that you're looking for. And so this context role interview task is a framework that can unlock that for you. Okay, so let's talk about, so that's kind of where we are, one way to kind of use AI in a better way to get more value. And now I want to talk about why is this now possible? So with AI, some of you may have heard of big data, machine learning. And we think about AI as 1.0. And the use case in retail energy is sort of like predict fraud and churn in your customer book. And you can use AI to do that, but you could do that 10 years ago. And really, this AI 1.0, this sort of predictive modeling, is really more about predicting the future based on the past. And so it requires a ton of training data, like every transaction you've ever done. And it starts at 0. And then it's trained to perform sort of one specific task. Make this prediction. How much usage will blank, or which customer is likely to cancel this month, next month. And while that's useful, it's not something that was ever widely adopted. But as we think about where we're going with AI, what we have now in our hand, this sort of 2.0 or new generation of AI, is this sort of generative AI. And now we have this logical reasoning kind of coupled with this ability to do generative, I'll use word for lack of a better term, but we can generate words in a human-like way and then couple that with this ability to logically think through problems. And so the differences here is that AI 2.0 is pre-trained on a massive set of general data. It doesn't really matter what the data is. It's all accretive to the capability of the AI model. And think about all text that humans have ever committed to digital forms. That is literally what the latest models have been trained on. Everything. In fact, there are companies that are converting audio to text just to get more training content to advance the models further. So that's kind of the frontier that we're at. And you think about what goes into these models. And so these models can actually perform generalized functions, not specific. And then they can be further trained to specialize and focus and filter their results towards a specific outcome. And that's what I'm going to show you. Kind of what we've done at Interact is taken the general models and sort of specialize them to do some tasks that we think are pretty interesting and useful in the retail energy space. And this fine tuning of this very capable general model to get it to something that does specific tasks is a tiny leap, is a much smaller lift than kind of the AI 1.0. You have to have all this data and it's focused to just get one task, and to do something different, you're starting back over from scratch. So let's turn our thoughts now to retail energy. And I promise we're going to get out of the slides and into like some actual equivalents. But real quick, before I do that, I see we have our poll here. It looks like most people are somewhat comfortable, kind of have dabbled. That's about half of the audience today. That's good to know. And then looks like 2/3 of you guys are using it for content creation. So generating text, writing, that kind of thing. A few, maybe a third for data analysis, and then a handful, and then a quarter of people are not using AI at all. Awesome. You guys jump in. The pool is deep and the water's fine. Okay, and then some concerns. Accuracy is the biggest concern. Okay, great. Fantastic. We will circle back to that and show you guys kind of what you can do. But I want to talk about the commercial customer journey that we have in retail energy. And the getting of usage at the broker stage here is not something that's universal. So you could sort of hide that maybe outside of ERCOT, not as common. And you don't have credit determination and PUR and things like that. So I get it, but this is sort of all the steps that goes into signing up a customer, billing that customer, collecting from the bill, and paying commissions. So this is sort of the world we live in at Interact, is this sort of top left corner of workflows. And our solutions do kind of any of these given blocks, but it's really the communication that happens between counterparties, particularly broker and supplier, that we focused on, because although we have APIs, we can connect. There's a lot of people still that don't even have APIs and won't have them anytime soon. And so we think about AI as a bridge from the email world to the API world. And it's a bridge that we're starting to see some real fruit from and practical applications. So number one is this. Number one example is broker sends a contract to a supplier. supplier needs to book the deal. Okay, so that's our example number one. We're going to show kind of how AI can add some value to that step. The example number two we're going to show is supplier sends quotes to a broker. So we think about custom pricing. You send out an RFP, you get back a dozen different quotes, all different formats. And how do I pull them into my presentation that I want to send to my customer? Okay, so that's example two. And I told you if we get to it, we'll show this consolidation of licensing data example if we have time, as kind of example number three. But so if you think about what this AI 2.0 is capable of, whereas 1.0 could kind of predict churn, do some kind of very precise predictive type tasks, this kind of new generalized model is much more useful for a broader set of tasks. And so here's some examples of things that we're doing at Interax. The first email that a broker sends to a supplier, you need to set up the opportunity. I need to copy my accounts, start dates, product preferences, terms, green, swing, add, delete, right? All kinds of variables that are coming in this broker email, maybe with a spreadsheet attachment, maybe with a PDF, maybe there's a bill attached, right? All kinds of things that could come. And I need to sort of set up the opportunity to get it to the pricing team to get priced up. Maybe send it over to credit. Maybe I need to get HU rolling. So there's lots of things in that initial setup. The second thing is when I get a signed contract in, now I need to quality control around, is this price still good? Am I going to take this deal? Is this even my deal? Right? So you want to import and kind of QC those contracts. On the broker side, automating matrix price ingestion. So we process, I don't know, 1,100 pages worth Excel spreadsheets every day of matrix. And we're using AI to do things like when the format changes, sort of auto heal the parsing code without even having to write new code. Pretty fascinating. We are eliminating this rekey of supplier custom pricing. So I'm going to show you guys an example where a broker gets this huge kind of payload in an email with 30 different terms and different products and so forth, and needs to pull that in to a different location. Imagine a proposal generation type of database. Could be Sparkplug, could be your database of choice, Excel. And you need to extract this data from the email. And then generating these convincing customer proposals. The proposals that ChatGPT writes are better than I would write, and I'm a pretty good writer, probably even I would say better than you would write, not even knowing you. And so that's kind of some interesting stuff we're doing with it. And then we'll talk about the regulatory example if we get to it. So let's start with contract ingestion. So as I said, this is where a broker sends an email. There's some info in the subject, in the body, may or may not be signed, could be a matrix contract. Maybe there's some sort of cover sheet that has the fee. Maybe there's some bills attached, other types of documents attached, right? So there's this big set of data, and it's somebody's job to take that email and effectively log it into some kind of staging area where it can be vetted, and then get it from there into the billing system, right? And they have to run sorts of checks. Is our margin accurately represented in this price? Do we still want to take this deal? Do we want to re-custom price it to mark what we think we're booking as margin? Is the broker's margin, the broker's fee, in line with our policies, mill splitting and things like that? And so there's a lot of checks that have to go in. Is this a customer we're already serving? Is this an old contract we've already seen, right? Is this even our latest form agreement? And so this is the type of stuff that you're getting with, this level of quality. Here's a bill on top of a whole bunch of other text scanned sitting in the middle of it, right? So it's just kind of a mess that comes in. And so what we want to do, and instead of showing you guys a video like I showed in EMC, we've got a little more time. I'm going to jump, over to, let's see. So I'm going to show you guys, here's one. So here's the one I showed you just now in the presentation. I'm going to show you guys what we've done. So we built this email assistant that is just an app and allows you to, in our case, log into Propeller. 1 second. I forgot the password. I should have that written down, right? Okay, here we go. Long password. All right, so we're logged into Propeller, and you'll notice that we've taken the files. You can kind of see the status here. We're processing files, we're processing images, and then we hand off to AI. So we pre-process the data to prep it. You can see there's a lot of data here, a couple megs worth of files, 7 megs of files. And you'll see that as AI starts to crank through it, it starts to identify the different components. One thing we've also found is that ChatGPT has a variable amount of response time. Sometimes it's immediate, and sometimes there's a little bit of slowness. Here you can see we're going now, document structure, contract. So now we're cranking through the different files that are attached, the email body itself, the subject, and so forth. We've identified the customer here. We've identified the accounts, the product that's being quoted, who's the broker, if there's any multifamily details. And so now you see we have a preview of the opportunity. And so if this is a net new deal, you can see it's new service, right? We have different types of service we can record. You can see this is a gas deal. It's in Therm, it's in Illinois. You can see it had an April 1 start date. You can see the price, matrix, fee, who's the salesperson, the broker. You can see who the customer is and the contact information that was extracted. And then you can see there are 2 NICOR gas accounts with service address, start dates, transaction types, and our annual usage all prepared here. So I just click a button and that pushes it directly into my approval system. This plugin that we built actually does not require you running our CRM, for example, our opportunity management system. So we can actually offer this a la carte. And all right, let's see. I got a browser window opening up. And here's the opportunity that we created. You can see it's pushed right in. We've got our billing address. We've got our contacts. We've got the signed contract. We have our accounts. You can see we've got our service addresses. We have our start dates. Now we didn't pull HU. We don't need to on this deal. You can see that we've got the price pulled in with the broker fee marked. It's a matrix price. You can see we've got the matrix natural gas product. Because it's POR, we don't have to check credit. You can see we have credit integrated here as well. And now we've got the contract, and I can see I've got the whole contract uploaded here for review, and I'm ready to reprice if I want off of my current pricing, or I can mark my margin or submit it for approval, adding notes, etc. So, right, so it took us about 2 minutes to process this. Now let's look at one with almost no data, just 2 files, just to show kind of one more example. We've kind of pulled our supplier customers to ask how long does it take on a per deal basis to process these kind of manual lifts of data. And they sort of chuckled and said, 20 minutes per deal to QC it and get it ready for enrollment. So we've really cut that to 2 minutes on average, sometimes faster than that, sometimes slower than that. And depending on the amount of data and how busy ChatGPT is and which model we use and so forth. But we really see this as a potential 10x improvement on the current status quo of processing, particularly matrix contracts, because they're high volume. So we're really excited to bring this to the supplier marketplace. There was a question that here I'll go ahead and answer live. That example was a start date prior today. Isn't that a red flag? And so, yeah, you're absolutely right that that's a red flag. And you notice that we actually flagged it red because it's a red flag that you have a start date that's in the past, right? And you'll see also the individual accounts have a start date in the past, so they also are flagged as well. And in this embodiment, this configuration we have set up to use ESG, and it's also saying, hey, you don't have a price plan ready for this matrix gas deal that you just imported. So yeah, that's another thing that we do is to sort of flag flag any concerning attributes, margin, contract form, T's and C's, etc. Okay, so while I was talking there, you can see that we processed this other deal. And so in this case, we have a preview, so you have the ability to kind of pick, if, for example, we didn't have any broker data here that mapped to any of our known broker relationships. So I'm going to just, and there's also no fee. That means this broker probably has a set fee that they just get on every deal with us, and it's not specified in the contract. So I have the ability to kind of put that in. Go preview the customer data. Again, you can see all I got were a couple of signed PDFs, hand scanned. I've got one Nicor gas, pulled out the usage, right, as well. So you can see how powerful this is in reading even things that are handwritten and so forth in a matter of a minute or two. And I'm going to just jump over to this one. And you can see again, we've got the billing address, we've got the billing contact, we've got the documents, we've got the accounts, we've got the annual usage off the deal, and we've got the contract uploaded and signed here. And we've got the meter level data. We're ready to go, submit for enrollment, reprice, or whatever we need to do as a next step. So that's kind of what we've got going on the supplier side. And I can show more of those. If any of you guys want to forward me an email, happy to do that live, and we'll circle back to that. But I want to jump over to the broker example. So I'm going to jump back to PowerPoint really quick if I can figure out where the button is. Awesome. So we'll skip the video. And so let's look at just what happened there. So the normal process is I get these emails, they have all these attachments, I hand them off to some human work pool. They save as all the documents, they open them up in Adobe and Word and whatever. They QA them, they rekey them typically into a spreadsheet, and then that gets batched, uploaded into my CIS and billing platform. But with our trusty HAL 9000, with our AI here, right, we're able to extract all of that same data and push it directly into our CRM, which lets us do a lot of things before enrollment, like credit check, verification, contract verification, account number verification, HU if we want it, verify that it's not a blacklist account, right? We don't want to re-enroll this customer, et cetera, all before we send it over for enrollment, right? And so really adds a ton of value, and then 10x is the speed on the current status quo. If you heard Scott Hart from NRG spoke in both Philly and last week in Dallas at the TIPA meeting, and talked about how NRG is looking at AI and that they're actually working on a way to import emails from brokers and load up opportunities for pricing. I thought that was an interesting takeaway since that's what I just demonstrated for you guys. Kind of the next step of that, right? Loading up, taking contracts, which is even more complex than taking price requests, because sometimes all you get is a set of PDFs and a bunch of scanned things, and extracting from that's much more challenging than, say, out of a spreadsheet. So obviously investment is being made, and the belief that this is going to be a large productivity booster is out there even at the highest levels of our industry. And so real quick, I got another question. Is this using ChatGPT 3.5 or 4? Wow, that is an interesting question. So there's a question again about what model I'm using. We actually do most of our work in 4, but there are now so many different kinds versions of what 4 means. There's 04, 4.0, mini, hyper, like all kinds of different things. So some of them are better at some parts of this that I just showed you, and some of them are better at other parts. Some are faster, but not better. So you trade accuracy for speed. So I wouldn't say there's one best model. 4.0 right now is kind of the all-purpose model. It's really good. It's going to be the go-to if I were you. Okay, so let's talk about the broker pricing import. And again, rather than showing you guys a video like I did on stage, I'm going to show you guys some live examples. Let me go. Where am I? Okay, I got some broker stuff here. Okay, so let me close the assistant since I'm in kind of supplier mode. And thanks to our Energy VA team for helping me get set up for this. I need to actually log out. And let's go here. Well, it's really wanting to keep me in the supplier product. This is a challenge with running both in one. I'm actually gonna restart Outlook just because that takes like no time nowadays. Let's see. We have the demo if we have to. Oh, here we go. Okay. I just didn't wait long enough to let it log out. Perfect. Here we go. So we're switching over to Sparkplug. So this is sort of the broker. I take my supplier hat off, and now I'm the broker. And now I just got this custom quote. You can see it's for this customer storage post. And I've got some price with and without text. Notice I'm quoting at no margin. That's kind of interesting. A lot of information in here. Got 5 accounts in ComEd, different usages. And I want to get this. You can see here was my original request was for 5, so that's good. I've got another April 1st start date. It's a fully fixed UCB price with 100% swing, no add delete. So you can see, and then there's this also the spreadsheet attachment, which may have some more data in it. So we take all of this, again, we kind of prep it, we hand it to the AI, and the AI goes through it. And in just a moment, you'll see I have a similar preview, but this time from the broker perspective. I got another question. Let me see, Q&A. So this AI assistant, is it an extension or plug-in to Copilot? So okay, that's a great question. We are not using Copilot. This is the Microsoft Copilot. You'll find that it cannot do anything like this. If you want it to read an email that you're about to send to your boss, asking for a raise and give you tips on how to write the email, it's awesome at that. If you want to extract data from a complex email, it's not very good at that. So no, this is not a plugin to Copilot, but it does sit inside of Outlook. So, and this could sit inside of Gmail or whatever email client you're using, because this is just a web application running in a little pane that lives and talks to your mail client. So it's really, really like its own application. First off, another thing that AI is really good at, and if you ask it to do so, is make observations. Like, is there anything else that I should know, you think I should know about this quote? Once you explain, like, this is what a quote is, right? And it's like, hey, all 5 were priced and included. All listed components are fixed, except for clean energy. Mandatory recs are not selected. Margin is listed as 0, and the prices are the same with and without tax. And so it's saying, hey, and I went ahead and mapped the product type to fixed. So you can see we've got the name, the product, the swing, that fee is 0. And I've pre-selected the terms that I requested. So I only requested 12, 24, 36, 48. And you can see I got a quote for literally everything in the kitchen sink. You can see all the prices were pulled out. It recognized that with and without taxes are the same. Obviously, in ComEd, these are going to be the same. That's not as applicable there. I have a chance to leave any notes that I want. These came from AI. And then if these are for an existing opportunity, which they are, it's recognizing that they are. It linked up the opportunity, and I can actually just go ahead and submit this quote. And you can see that here's the quote submitted. Now I'm going to see if I can find this quote. Self-storage comment. So I'm logging into, oh, here it is. Let's just start with a blank so you guys don't feel like it's rigged. So I'm going to go to my opportunities. I'm going to look for self-storage. Here's ComEd. And I can go here and look at pricing. And I can see that I've got my quotes from Smartest Energy here that I just imported. And here's the request that I sent out. This time my demo was for Smartest. And here's the pricing that I've imported back using the AI plugin. So pretty cool. I didn't have to key in any of that. And now I'm ready to go and upload a contract if I've got one, or create a contract if this is matrix pricing, I want to run off of that, or just say, hey, I'm ready to book my deal, right? Here's my 5 accounts. I want to go ahead and book the deal. Or I want to, put these all on a proposal for my customer, right? I can go and generate a proposal with the pricing that I've got. So all of that I'm able to do really quick. Let's look at another one that's maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to look for something here's something that's interesting. So they got the quotes sort of broken out. Let's try this one. So the point that I'm making here is that this is formatless. It doesn't matter what the format is, how it's sent, whether it's in the attachment, in the subject, somewhere in the body, forwarded to you, none of that matters. We've got it trained to a level that it is pretty flawless with pulling in the usage and the pricing. Let me see, I've got a couple more questions that came in. Is the broker AI agent monitoring a shared mailbox in Outlook and then automatically processing? So this is a great question. It can automatically monitor a shared mailbox and just extract quotes and push them into your opportunity management. Right now, we want to allow the humans a little bit more control. And so we built the assistant really to, number one, illustrate the technology. If I were to demo the auto monitor thing, it would be like, look at these quotes appearing on my screen. So not very impressive. And number two, we still feel like we want to have, it's kind of like full self-driving. I kind of still want someone sitting behind the wheel. And so if you like to have someone sitting behind the wheel and just speed them up, this is kind of the way that we accomplish that. So that it's kind of, again, supporting the human process, not fully eliminating the human process. So somebody else asked, what happens if I need to assign it to an opportunity? I think I just did that, but maybe I'll take this one and give you an example of, let's see. If I wanted to pick a different opportunity, I could do that here. So I could say, I don't know, I'll search for test. And it says, okay, here's some opportunities. And I could just say, hey, I want to pick this one, right? All kinds of test data in there. Okay. And so again, it's warning me that account numbers and specific addresses were not included. You can see that Nextera in this case doesn't include account numbers. And I can see that is actually the case. And that they quoted in decatherm, but I'm converting it to therm for the purposes of bringing it into the system, since that's the default unit of measure. You can see it caught the expiration date. You can see they're actually a set of two quotes. So it knows that number one is NYMEX plus firm, and this one is fixed firm. So you can see it picked out both sets of quotes. It brought in all of the pricing. It only selected the terms that I requested and not the extra terms. And now I could go and import that. So again, just illustrating. And it even gave me a warning that if account numbers are required to contract, that you'll need to provide these separately. So pretty cool. It's even picking up on data inconsistencies. Okay, lots of other questions. If it isn't a new opportunity or the correct opportunity, yeah. So you have the option to do all of the above. Even pick a different opportunity, create a new opportunity, etc. Let's see. Wow, lots of questions. Opposed to the opportunity just being ready to go. Yeah, okay. I just answered that one. Yes, you do not have to have a ready to go opportunity. You can create one. Okay, question answered. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Let's see. Couple more questions. If I'm understanding, I should be able to have an AI read an incoming email that has invoices or an LOA, and the agent would take that data and autofill it into Sparkplug. Yes, correct. Correct. So this is a quote setup example that I'm giving you, but opportunity setup, like let's say you told a customer, hey, take a picture of your bill and send me that, and I'll get you priced, and look at your current contract and tell me when your current end date is. And they type that in the email and they send you an email and it's got a little bit of information. Yes, that would be another application of the same technology, is extracting the new opportunity and setting that up automatically for you in Sparkplug. Okay, I'm going to jump back to PowerPoint, get a few more questions, but I'll jump back to those in a moment. Okay, so again, broker pricing import, this is another example that we just showed. And this is sort of the manual process, is you do some save as, you do some copy and paste, and maybe rekey into whatever your CRM is. And again, with the AI, we're able to basically grab that data and push it directly into the system so that you're instantly ready to go and generate your proposal to your customer, or refresh, or whatever, get on the phone, right? Whatever your next step is, You're not having to sift through spreadsheets all day long, copy and paste and all of that. And by the way, I did give you guys a sneak peek of our new Sparkplug user interface called Spark Hub. Let's see right here. You can see just how fast it is to move around and find opportunities and manage accounts and request pricing. A lot of cool stuff you can do here, including matrix, custom, exchange connected, all kinds of cool stuff. So bonus for you guys that attended the webinar today. Okay, last one. We've got just enough time, I think, to show this regulatory compliance example. So who's ever had to track down who's actually licensed in a given state? So if you want to know the status of your own license, the status of your competitor's license, like when it's issued, when it expires, really, really tough to do that. And they don't make it easy. In fact, you might feel a little bit kind of like this guy where he's saying, hey, open the pod bay doors, Hal, and Hal's not responding. So for example, I'm going to give you guys New Jersey. So you might think, here's the New Jersey. First of all, finding this page is not simple. It looks like it's really simple to find, but go to this BPU and just start there and see if you can find it by browsing. It's going to take you some time. But let's say you do find the page and you look here and you find list of energy agents, energy consultants, and private aggregators. And that looks like the list of licensed brokers, right? Well, if you were to say that, you would be wrong, because over here, this is the real list. Energy private aggregator and energy consultant with anniversary dates. This one is actually from 2019. So it's more than just finding the data, it's finding the right data. And that's something that's challenging. You may even feel like Hal's telling you, I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. Well, with AI, this becomes possible. In fact, and again, because we're live here, let me just show you guys the live version. So we call this Insights. It's basically a consolidated database of all registered brokers and suppliers in every choice state or choice market in the country for both gas and power. So I could actually go to New Jersey and I could go and see who is registered for New Jersey. Here's Box. Where else is Box registered? Look at all the different states. They're registered everywhere, right? And what legal entity did they use to register in those states? And who are their contacts? And what addresses have they used? And what other aliases have they used in their filing? So yeah, you've got really a really quick way to go and look at who's licensed where. And what we do with this is I can go and see who's licensed in New York, and when do their licenses expire. Here's 3 Point. I can look at their New York license, and I can see that they have a consultant license in New York, and it expires 8/31/25. So if I'm paying them commissions, if I'm pricing deals with them, right, I can see that's coming, and I can, if that renewal, if that expiration date doesn't get pushed out, I can hold those commissions and stop paying. I can also take their commissions and say, I could also use this to prospect. What other supplier relationships could I get in this state? What other broker relationships could I get in this state? I could use this to monitor my counterparties and see if they're having any license issues in other states, or monitor my brokers if I'm a BDM and identify what other markets I should be talking to those brokers about where they have licenses and I also am a licensed supplier. And yet they're not pricing deals with me in New Jersey. I need to get these guys on the phone. So there's a lot that you can do with this. Onboarding new channel partners, the vetting process, really easy to vet. And another thing is, in New Jersey, we actually show you the case number here, and you see we link you directly to that. And we also, you can come and follow. I can say, hey, I want to come follow 3 Point Energy. And I could also go and say, hey, I want to see a screenshot of their New York license. And we take a screenshot every night showing that they've got an approval letter stating their current approval. And so if you ever did pay a broker, you've got that validation showing that that they were in fact licensed when you priced that deal with them. Okay, jumping back to the PowerPoint to wrap up on what you can do with AI with these agents. So, couple of other questions. Would this AI pulled information available in Sparkplug or just the instance platform you're sharing with us? I'm not sure I understand the question. It can pull from anything. It doesn't have to be Sparkplug, but if you are using Sparkplug, it does it will seamlessly flow the data into Sparkplug as I just showed you. That was not fake or a pretend mock-up. That was real live data transfer that I just showed you. Look, at first I thought everything Copilot. Okay. All right. Thanks. Clarity on that, on the Copilot question. Sounds like we've got understanding there. Another question is, I think about licensing, even for reports due. So I think this question, sorry, I'm hitting the answer live button. I think this question is about, in some states, you might be or you might be in a period where your license is not revoked, but you owe the PUC some type of report. Like in Illinois, there's an annual filing. So several other states have kind of license maintenance. Yeah, we pick up the status there. It's not just active or not active. We show the granted date, the effective date, the expiration date, the status, because of these, I'll say, gray areas where technically they're fine, right? You can work with that broker. They hold an active license, but you might want to still be aware. You would still get an update. You get a daily digest notification of anyone you're following. Here's all the updates of people you're following and their license activity. So yes, you might see the status change even though the license is not expired. If I didn't answer that, feel free to email me afterwards, nate@nrx.com. And then 2 more questions around how do I get this? Reach out to your customer success manager, or reach out to us at NRX. And I will mark those as answered. Okay. So just wrapping up, a lot of people might feel, well, man, isn't this going to reduce the number of jobs? And actually the head of innovation at Microsoft, this guy, Dean Carignan, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I heard an interview with him where he's kind of asked the same question. And his opinion is that this is an economic theory that's been debunked many years ago, hundreds of years ago, that there's only so much work to go around. And if we get better at it, then somebody else is worse off. I mean, there's less work for someone else to do. And this has been used to say, hey, we shouldn't have women in the workforce because there'll be less jobs for men to do. Or we shouldn't allow people to work overtime because then someone won't get enough hours. Or immigration will come in and take our jobs. So there's all sorts of things, this concept that there's a limited amount of work to do, and that if we get better at it, or we're able to do more work, that somehow somebody's not going to have work to do. It's just never happened. There's always work to do. There might be new types of work and old types might go away, but humanity keeps coming up with work to do. And so this is not something where we're going to replace people and just AI doing the work. This is really where you're going to see a human AI partnership. And that's our belief. That's where we're working as a business to support our customers, to bring AI technology into their hand to make them more efficient, more effective. With that, well, I got a whole bunch more questions. License database is impressive. Nicely done. Thank you very much. Let's see. We're receiving pricing from different retailers through Outlook, typically in separate emails. Is it possible to upload them one by one and have the information consolidated into a single quote sheet? Yeah. So I didn't show that just for the sake of time, but I could jump into several different, unfortunately, the examples I have are for different opportunities. Let's see if I have two for the same opportunity. These are all, I asked my team to send me like a bunch of random different formats so you guys could see. Golly, these are all different customers. You may have to just take my word for it today that yes, they consolidate under one opportunity in Sparkplug, and then you would just go and generate your proposal from there. Are there a limited amount of energy for AI? Although there may be a limited amount of energy for AI data centers. Okay, I think that's not necessarily a question, maybe kind of a reflection. I think that remains to be seen. I think humanity is pretty, pretty good at coming up with things that are highly valuable, like oil and gas and energy and wind. And, like when things are needed, the price goes up, that pulls in supply. It's the beautiful thing about supply and demand economics. And so I'm not a scarcity guy. I'm more of an abundance kind of thinker. And I think that we will have all of the power we need at the right price to power the data centers that should get built. And the ones that shouldn't get built either won't be able to afford it or won't get the power. So I think that that's a beautiful thing about supply and demand is there's a natural harmony over time. There are short-term shocks and inefficiencies, but in general, economics is a kind of self-balancing thing. And I think we'll see that with AI data centers and power as well. So you heard it here first. You're welcome. Got a couple of thank yous. Awesome. So, hey guys, we're a wrap there. If you got any other questions, wow, 20 questions in an hour. That's pretty solid. And we still got through the presentation. So, hey, thanks so much for joining us today. Feel free to reach out to us, and I'm happy to show you guys more examples. If you want to see an example using your data, just if you don't believe us, we're happy to show you code with your data. It's pretty impressive. We've been working on it for a long time, and we're just kind of taking the wraps off it today. Thanks very much, and have a great day.